What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to Powered by Primus. And in today's video we're going to be doing a Metroplex deck profile. Now I was going to put up the video, or I was even considering giving you guys a little sneak peek at, but because I've been getting so many messages all over the place about Metroplex, I figured it only makes sense to give you guys a Metroplex deck profile video. The other thing about it is that I looked into my previous videos and I haven't done one yet. And now that Wave 2 is obviously out, Metroplex got significantly better with the release of that, with a lot of new cards added to the list. So we're going to be going over all of that today. Now if you guys do enjoy this video and this deck profile, a like would be greatly appreciated. And if you guys are not subscribed, make sure you guys subscribe. So let's get into this deck. And the deck is obviously about Mr. Big Titan here, Metroplex Autobot City. Now he does have really good stats just by himself, having 6 attack and 35 health, and that's because these other characters just don't come into play with him. You have to deploy them, which we'll get into here in just a moment. But it's all about Metroplex's ability, and it says when this attacks and you flip 2 whites, 2 oranges, and 2 blues, you get to tap each enemy and then also deal 1 damage to each of them, which is really, really powerful, and it's really the only way that he's able to fight wide teams or teams that have multiple characters. Seeing as how if you go up against a team of 5 or a team of 6, he can be taking a lot of damage because he's the only tapped character on your side, at least at the start of the game. So you really get to taking a beating early on, so making sure that you proc his ability is by far the most important part of the list. It's not necessary, seeing as how he does do a lot of damage, and we have a lot of shenanigans in the deck to make sure that all of our characters are helping us out as well. Now, it will obviously start in this mode, and then it does say that whenever you flip to this mode, you get to deploy one of the 3 characters that will be underneath him. So they all have their own fantastic abilities. I usually start out by deploying Slammer. It's really nice. He has 3 armor, which is really powerful, 3 health, which is super low, so a one-shot stand will definitely take him right out of the game right off the bat. But he does have 3 armor again. We have lots of colors of blues, oranges, and whites in this list, so it really does help all of our characters survive for quite a long time. But when he gets deployed, he gets to do 1 damage to each enemy. So this procs, you get 1 damage off of that. We have some other cards that deal damage in the list, and then obviously Metroplex's other ability. It's really, really, really powerful. Not to mention it does give you bold 1 to your Metroplex. Now 6 gun is usually the second character that I'll go for in most situations, and it does say when your Metroplex attacks you get to do 1 damage to the defender, so before anything goes down you do get to do that 1 damage. And then in this mode he does give your Metroplex bold 2. Now I didn't talk about this mode because, surprise, he doesn't have an alt mode. So, I'm sorry, a bot mode. Now, if you go over here to Scamper, Scamper is usually the last one that I will deploy, but I do sometimes put him out a little early if I need to. He does have some pretty low stats. He does give our Metroplex bold 1, which is really nice. Obviously, giving us tons and tons of bold to be able to proc his ability on the other side is really, really important, because obviously you have to flip a bunch of cards to obviously get at least 6 different battle icon colors. But the reason why I'll sometimes flip Scamper and get him out early is because of his other ability. It says when you flip to this mode, you may have, and you have your Metroplex on the battlefield, which obviously you should, you get to scrap an enemy weapon or armor, so that can be really, really nice in those situations if you need to break an armor for whatever reason, or if you really need to get an annoying weapon, your opponent's got a mining pick and he's just, beating you up with it, or they put a grenade launcher onto their thrust that you want to get rid of to help, hold back a bunch of damage next turn. I will sometimes go with this. Now we will be doing a lot of flippings in our turns, as we'll get to our battle cards here in just a moment. We have 9 different ways of flipping characters in this list, which is really powerful, and it's one of the biggest reasons why Metroplex is so good, because he's constantly flipping, making sure all these guys are getting deployed, because with Wave 1, it was really nice we had access to 6 cards that allowed us to flip, but it almost seemed like it wasn't just enough to make sure you're always flipping each turn, and Metroplex was just taking so much early damage. But with the introduction of Wave 2, we did get 3 more cards that allow us to flip him, which is really, really powerful. So let's get into the deck. Now we're going to start with upgrades, because we have far less upgrades than we do have anything else in the list. The first one coming in is Handheld Blaster. It is a double blue battle icon card, which is one of the reasons why it's in the deck. Again, we do have to proc Metroplex's ability, so if you do flip one of these, you automatically already hit the double blue for the requirements needed, which is really nice. And then also it does give bold 1. It's not super necessary, but there have been some times where I've had to resort to this to get that extra bold to be able to attack with Metroplex to proc his ability, so it can be useful to be played as well. Next one coming in is a 2 of, and it did come with wave 2 as Backup Beam. Backup Beam is a blue battle icon, which is really nice, and a green battle icon, which is really the most important part, is because where you're able to fish it out after combat, whether it's, you know, defending or attacking, to be able to get this to put on our Metroplex to give him bold 2. Again, really trying to get that ability is really nice, and then it does give bold 2. Next one coming in as a 2 of is Armed Hovercraft. Now this is one of the cards I was talking about when it came to dealing damage to the enemy. It does give us +1 attack and is a blue battle icon card, which is really nice. And when you put it on a ranged character, you do 1 damage to each enemy. Now all of the characters that do come with this, including Metroplex, are ranged, so you can even put it on a little character if you want, which is really nice to also give them that +1 if needed. But if you do Slammer and you put him out, do 1 damage to all the enemies. You play this, do 1 damage to all the enemies. That's already 2 damage to each enemy, and then if you can proc Metroplex's ability a few times, it's really easy to take out a lot of characters without even having to directly attack them. Or even finishing off a character by just proccing Metroplex's ability, and that tapped character only has 1 health left, you're going to be able to knock him out without even having to go after the character. Next one coming in as a 2 of is going to be Matrix of Leadership. Now, Metroplex is not a leader, but this is in here because it is a blue and an orange battle icon, helping us better proc his ability. It does give us +1 attack as well. I've put this on little characters to help deal a couple extra damage if you need to. It is a utility as well, which is really nice because you can still run a weapon in the slot as well and not have to like replace anything. But again, it is in there primarily because of the orange and blue battle icon card. The next one coming as a 3 of is going to be Improvised Shield. Now this is in here for the same reason that Handheld Blaster is. It is a double orange battle icon which allows us to instantly proc the orange part of Metroplex's ability. Plus it is really nice to help keep the characters deal more damage when I'm attacking with them, or even Metroplex just deal more damage when attacking with him. The only disadvantage to it is that you can use it as an armor for the tough one. Not really recommended. I would at least use the Handheld Blaster for that bold 1. You can put this on maybe Slammer to help him survive for a turn, but it's really not ideal as far as playing the actual card. The next one coming in as a 2 of is going to be Power Punch. It is an orange battle icon card. It is a weapon. It does give us bold 3 until end of turn. Really nice to be able to put that onto Metroplex to be able to get bold to obviously help us proc our ability with him. Now getting into our actions, because we have a lot of them. First one coming in is going to be Peace Through Tyranny. Now it is a double orange battle icon card, so it is in there for the previous reason as Improvised Shields. It does access that double orange for Metroplex when he attacks or even just dealing more damage. We'll never actually be using the ability on the card, seeing as how all the characters are 4 stars, so you're not going to be able to use them as fodder for Peace Through Tyranny, so no extra turns in the list. Very understandable because it'd be pretty insane if it did. So there is that. It is double orange. Next one coming in is going to be Supercharge. Supercharge is an orange battle icon card and is an action which gives us bold 3, a lot like the thing for Power Punch. The bold 3 is really nice. Plus, being able to stack those bolds is actually really relevant. If you can play a Power Punch and a Supercharge, now your access to bold 6 without using any of your other characters' bolds. Again, most of the other characters do give us a bold as well. Always do take that into account when you're attacking. Make sure you do have them in the right modes so you do have those bolds. So it just gives us access to an insane number of bolds, which is also really good to be able to proc his ability, but he also deals an insane amount of damage. Now, Metroplex can attack even a bigger health character, an Optimus Prime, or whatever the case may be, a Blur, and be able to do a crazy number of damage just based on bold 6, because we do have a pretty equal balance of orange, blue, and white in the list, so you're always going to be flipping an insane amount of cards. The next one coming in as a 2 of is going to be Press the Advantage. Now, this card, I will tell you, is optional in the list. I do run it because I think it is a very good card. It is an orange battle icon and a green battle icon, which means we can fish it whenever we want. So even if we're not going up against Decepticons and we don't really need that extra 2, we'll just let it go through at the end of combat. But it does give us +2 attack and a Decepticon -2 armor, which does include their flip. So even if you're attacking into, like, let's say a thrust, now they go down to 1 armor, and if they don't flip any blues, great. Or even if you attack into a character like a Constructicon that has 0 armor and they flip a couple blues, that'll still take away those blues until end of turn. So it can be really powerful going after Decepticons and really taking away a couple of that blue, and those 2 extra points really will make a difference. Plus, this is really good to put on your little characters if you absolutely need to for the turn. You can even turn someone like Slammer into 5 damage now, and then also give them -2 armor on top of that. And you can usually even KO a character or even get a lot of damage in on a character with some of your littler guys. It is definitely not really needed. There's definitely a lot of Decepticon combiners too that you can really use this up against. There's a few Metasaurs out there. Not a whole lot, let's be honest, but there are definitely some Predakings that this is really good to go against. They usually don't really run heavy blue, but it does still get in through that natural blue, Nemesis Prime and stuff like that. So there are a lot out there. Now, if you're not going up against a lot of Decepticons or you feel this really isn't that beneficial, I will say that we have 0 removal in the deck as far as Vaporize, Bashing Shields, and stuff like that, ramming speeds. So if you do want to go with some removal in the list, I would suggest that you swap these 2 cards out for 1 Enforcement Batons, which is an orange and a green, and 1 Bashing Shield, which is still an orange and a green. That way you do have access to some removal if you do need it in your area or against a lot of your friends. Either way, that is definitely going to be an easy card to swap out if you would like. I do like it in the list because it does give me a lot of access to beating a lot of characters that normally that 2 extra would not have KO'd. So it's really nice. The next card coming in as a 3 of is going to be Rollout. Now, Rollout is one of our first of 9 cards that allow us to flip Metroplex for free, which is really nice. I'll get into that here in just a second. But it is an orange and a blue battle icon card, which is another fantastic reason why it is in the list, just really helping us proc his ability. But usually turn 1, you will start in this mode. You will always flip to this and then have to get in for an attack. Now, the thing that I highly recommend if you can is go second. If you win the die roll, always elect to go second, because if not, you're attacking first. You don't have a card to play, which is unfortunate, and you're going to be able to get attacked by whatever your opponent has, and you're really going to only be able to flip for defense, and you have really low defense, so it's going to really hurt. You're going to take a lot of early damage. However, if you go first, you can even start in this mode. You can flip to your bot mode, and then you can play Rollout, which allows you to flip back to this mode, and then now you get to deploy a little character. Depending on what your opponent is going up, your opponent's running. If you're going up against a heavy blue, it's totally okay to throw Metroplex in this instant. Leave your little guy out, it's totally fine. But if you're going up against most stuff, you're going to probably want to throw out the little guys. They're going to absorb an attack, which is really nice. It still leaves him in this mode. You don't have to worry about being tapped. Now your Slammer gets to get in for some damage on top of deploying and getting 1 damage across the board. If he does get KO'd, that's still fine. On your next turn, now you can flip back to this mode, and then again, we'll still have access to a lot of cards that allow us to flip for free. Obviously deploying again, bringing out a second character, and then really wash, rinse, repeating until your opponent is tapped down or has 1 character tapped left, and then you can go in for Metroplex. Now, the other thing about that attack is that you do lose access to being able to tap all of your opponent's stuff with this ability. So I would say that if you have a moment and you have enough bold cards in your hand, like supercharges or whatever else, even with these guys coming out giving you bold 1, it's okay to attack with Metroplex. Especially if you know that you're going to be able to tap down your opponent, it becomes a far better attack. Seeing as how you get to attack, possibly KO a character by dealing just his natural damage through all the flips, and then the 1 damage that you get to do from his ability, tap your opponent down, and then now your little characters can get in for free, and then all you're going to do is reset from there, and then you get to repeat the process. Now, even if your opponent chooses to go after Metroplex, he's got a lot of health, which allows him to tank an insane amount of damage, and then on the following turn, you flip, deploy a character, and into attack again. The real power level from Metroplex comes in with his health, how many times that he's allowed to flip in a turn, and the fact that his ability procs a lot. It is really hard to whiff on his ability. Now, granted, if you notice that you've been attacked or you've been defending or whatever else, and you flip most of your doubles in your scrap pile, then obviously I would wait, throw out the little characters until you can get a reshuffle, and then attack with Metroplex so you can make sure that all of your cards are back into the deck so you have a better chance of being able to proc his ability. The next 3 of coming in is going to be Security Checkpoint. Now, Security Checkpoint is in there because it is a double blue battle icon card, but it is also really nice, as you guys did previously see. We have very few upgrades in the list, and even if you happen to have 1 upgrade in your hand and you want to play this, it's easy to put the upgrade down onto whatever character you want, and then Security Checkpoint. There is a lot of upgrades going around right now. It is a very, very powerful card type, and it can lead to you losing a lot of games off of some weapons out there, armors, even a couple utilities like in combat commands and the Sentinel list, whatever the case may be. This is going to be really nice to be able to pluck a lot of those upgrades out of your opponent's hand, and it really doesn't hurt you at all. If you do happen to even have like a backup beam in your hand that you can't play, it's okay because backup beam's a green battle icon card. We'll see it again flipping later on through the deck, so we can definitely get it back, so it's really not a problem. But again, if you can play it, just play the backup beam and then play the security checkpoint. The next three coming in, and it is a card that did come with the Metroplex list, and that is Height Advantage. It is a blue battle icon card, and it says one of your Titans gets bold 4 until end of turn. Currently, the only Titan that we have is Metroplex, so obviously we're going to be playing it on our Metroplex, not our little characters, but it does give us bold 4, which is a huge number of bold, especially, again, if you have one of the little characters out. Now you're looking at bold 5 on your Metroplex. If you follow it up with like a Power Punch, now you have bold 8, so it's really hard to not get his ability with this card. The next one coming in as a 3 of is going to be Secret Dealings, another card that did come out with Wave 2. It is a white and a green battle icon card, which is really nice. White is in there primarily for his ability, but it does say that we get to draw a card and then plan a card. Now, obviously, we do have lots of double oranges in the list. We do run the full playset of all of them, so obviously we do have the 6 double blues and 6 double oranges. So if we do happen to draw those, which is probably going to happen, this card's going to be really nice for you to be able to plan and choose to put one of those on top of your deck, so you can make sure that at least you proc that ability from that, at least from the double oranges or the double blues from his ability. You can even put a white on top if you need to go and make sure you flip 2 additional cards on top of your bold. It is definitely doable. The other thing with that is I would always tell you to check your scrap pile. It's really, really important to make sure that you know that you can proc the ability. Let's say you have a Piece of Tyranny and a security checkpoint in your hand and you want to play the Secret Dealings. Look in your scrap pile and see if you have, more double blues or more double oranges to make sure that, okay, I have a lot of my blues in the scrap pile. Let me put this security checkpoint on top to know that my blues are okay, and then I'll most likely flip some of my oranges. So just being cautious of what is out there and what is in your scrap pile, so you can just always make sure that you're trying your best to make sure you do proc, because if you miss, it's not as bad, but it can really hurt and set you back a turn. The next one coming in is a 3 of, and another card from Wave 2, which does allow us to flip, is Escape Route. It is a white and a green battle icon card. The green is really, really important because it allows us to fish it if we don't happen to have it, and that is really powerful. And it says flip one of your characters from bot mode to alt mode. Now, again, we are in this mode. This is a bot mode, which is funny because there are a lot of other big characters that don't have it, but it is a bot mode, so this card does allow it to work, which is really powerful. Again, this just allows us to be in this mode, play Escape Route, and allow us to flip for free, and then we still have a hard flip for the turn. We can possibly flip if we want to go flipping, this guy to be able to break those armors or whatever the case may be, or even just flip back into our big bot mode to be able to do a huge attack, or just to leave him in that mode, so next turn we can play another card to allow us to flip to continuously be popping out the little guys. The next card coming in as a 3 of is going to be Rapid Conversion. Now, Rapid Conversion is a white battle icon card, again, in there to help us proc Metroplex's ability, flipping 2 more cards on attack or defense, and then it does allow us to flip one of your characters to its other mode, so it doesn't matter what mode you are in, this card is going to allow you to get a free flip. Even if you happen to start the game going second again, you're in this mode, play Rapid Conversion, you can flip into your bot mode and then flip it the other way. It won't really matter, but this is just another card that allows us to continuously flip. And again, it's really good. There are 9 cards in this list, one of which, or sorry, I guess 3 of which, do have green battle icons, so you're going to be doing this ability quite often. It is actually really powerful, and like I said, it makes Metroplex so competitive because you have access to always getting those little guys out versus relying on hoping to draw one or just having to hard flip every turn, so these are really good cards. And finally, our 1 of in the list is going to be Espionage. It is a white battle icon that does give us 9 total white battle icon cards, 10 total white battle icon cards, which is a really nice number. It's a really comfortable number for me to be running. I've seen some people run them with 13 whites, some people run them with 8 whites, but I run this. It just feels really, really good. The Espionage is a 1 of, and it does allow you to choose a color, look at your opponent's hand, and scrap a card of the chosen color. So if there is something very specific that you know that your opponent has in their hand that is just going to ruin your day, it really is nice to be able to play that and kind of protect yourself just a little bit better. Plus, it's a green battle icon, so we can always fish it out whenever we need to. The one thing about this card is that you can't choose no color as a color. So things such as I Still Functions, One Shall Stands, Ready for Actions, and all those other kind of cards are definitely protected from Espionage. So there's nothing you can do about that, but there are tons and tons of other cards that are out there that that are going to ruin your day. Like let's say that you do happen to have a backup beam on your character and you really need to be able to get that bolt 2 on the previous turn, but you know your opponent is holding on to an enforcement baton, so you know they're holding on to like a ramming speed or whatever else, then you can choose that color, rip it from their hand, and then know that you are safe. Now, other cards that you can consider for the list are things such as a Work Overtime. It is a white battle icon card. It did come with the Constructicons, and it does allow you to draw up to 4 cards in your hand. So if you have 2, you draw 2. If you have 3, you draw 1. If you have 0, you draw 4, obviously. That card's really good for restocking your hand as a white battle icon card. It is nice. I find myself always usually having enough cards in my hand to really never need it 100%, and that's one of the reasons why I run Sick Your Dealings, is this card does allow me to draw 1 if I am ever in a pinch, and then put one of those basic cards on top. The other card that can be really good for this list is the bigger they are. Because all of our characters are 4 stars, they will proc against almost everybody except for the Constructicons. Now, there is a 1 Constructicon that is 5 stars, but everyone else is 4 stars. So you guys can be able to use that and get that Pierce 4, which can be really, really relevant. I know somebody runs a 1 of in their list for it, and it's done quite a bit of work for them. So that is another good card that you can choose to put in the list. And then finally, the only other card that I would recommend for you guys, if you're in that play area where there's really not a lot of armor removal, then I would try Force Field. Force Field's really powerful. It's a white battle icon card. It's an armor, which is nice because it's not going to mess with any of your other upgrades as far as weapons and stuff go. And then it does say if the upgraded character would take 5 or more, instead they take 4. So that's a really powerful card. It really helps keep a couple of your smaller characters alive. It does keep 6-gun alive, and then obviously allows you to take far less damage to your Metroplex. Your other characters still would get KO'd to it, but it is a powerful card. Obviously, if you're going against a really aggressive meta and that doesn't have armor removals, Bashing Shield is just such a really powerful card right now, and it's really everywhere, so it's really hard for me to run Force Fields, and I don't really see a benefit to it. I play the card and then my opponent just responds by blowing it up, and it really set me back for a turn, and I know that they're out there, so I just don't personally run them, but that is why I run the full package of double blues, both action and upgrade with the handheld blaster and stuff. So I hope that you guys did enjoy this deck profile video and breakdown. Again, if you guys did, a like would be greatly appreciated, as it does show me your guys' support. Let me know if you guys have any changes or if you guys run something different with your Metroplex list, and I'll see you guys in the next one.